And it's so hard to say goodbye to Harris Anthony. So we've talked about how we want the Vikings to retain superstar emerging stud Anthony Harris, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Zimmer soon resigned that Anthony Harris is going to hit free agency, and then even threw the safety position under the bus. We'll get to that. But yeah, the Vikings in a precarious cap situation, as well as Anthony Harris earning himself a very nice payday. Seems like the Vikings and Anthony Harris are going to part ways. Now, I was just trying to think off the top of my head, and also you think about this too, without cheating. Who was the last homegrown Viking stud who left in free agency, notably on defense? Just trying to think. Like, when was the last time the Vikings drafted a dude, molded him into a star, and A, didn't retain him, and B, just let him go in free agency? I'm trying to think. Might be a long time ago. Like, maybe like Nate Burleson. But, of course, that was revenge after the poison pill Steve Hutchinson when Seattle gave Nate a 7-year, $49 million fully guaranteed deal or whatever it was. Yeah, because it just doesn't happen. And the Vikings are starting to feel the pinch a little bit of the Kirk Cousins contract, as well as all the other great superstars on the Vikings team, especially on defense. It's tough. It really is tough because I guess, well, here's what happens. When it's clear that something's not going to go your way, you start trying to discredit them a little bit. So it's like, Anthony Harris is really good, except he's 29. So it's like, that's all I got, though. But, I mean, he deserves top-tier safety money. He's going to get it at least $10 million per year. And like we mentioned, the Vikings really are starting to feel the tightness of not being able to dole out a lot more big contracts because you got Kirk Cousins on the books, as well as Thielen, Diggs, Reif, Linval, Rudy, Barr, Kendricks, Xavier for now, as well as Harrison Smith and Danielle Hunter. And initially, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's like of Zimmer discrediting and throwing the safety position under the bus, saying it's not that important of a position. But as well as you do have Harrison Smith on a big safety deal, even though he's underpaid, but topic for another day. Could you really justify having two high-paid safeties at the back end of the defense? I mean, yeah, but also no. It's a very Minnesota answer. No, yeah, or yeah, no. So just looking at replaceability, and I've come to terms with this. I'm on like stage 5 of the stages of grieving Anthony Harris leaving the Vikings because I love that dude. But replaceability, I mean, Zimmer has had a pretty good track record of turning nobodies into very good safeties in this defense. Zimmer turned UDFA backup, the guy who couldn't beat out Hussein Abdullah, Andrew Sendejo, that he turned him from Pendejo to a near Pro Bowler, Andrew Sendejo. And as well as Zimmer turned 7th-round pick J-Ron Curse into a valuable niche piece in this defense. And then Zimmer turned UDFA Anthony Harris, coming out of Virginia, into a damn near all-pro player. One of the better safeties in the league, especially at free safety. So, yeah, Zimmer talked about how the safety position is being less important, and he certainly would know better than any of us, unless you have a Harrison Smith. But also, I do, to a degree, trust that he has an ability to cycle through and build up yet another safety who will earn a big payday, and then the Vikings have to let him go because Kirk Cousins is on a second contract or whatever. But looking at the cover right now, it's a little bit bare because right now Harrison Smith is technically the only safety on the Vikings 90-man roster. Under contract, futures contract, whatever. I do think that if you look back at cornerback out of Texas, last year's rookie 7th-round pick, Chris Boyd, I do think his skill set could transition well to free safety. I think it's a lot different than the argument, well, just turn Xavier into a safety. A, doesn't really have the skill set. B, he would be the highest paid safety in the league, so no. And C, no. That is all. Also, UDFA Nate Metters, a little bit undersized, but to a degree. Could you see him transition into safety? Possibly as well. But now, and with Anthony Harris gone and the cupboard essentially bare, I mean, you could re-sign Andrew Sendejo. You could try and run it back with him for one more year, but that's a short-term answer. That is a Band-Aid. But now, I mean, safety does become a bit of a priority in the draft. And it wouldn't necessarily shock me if the board breaks, right, that all of a sudden, the Vikings take a first-round safety or at minimum a second-round safety, because you look at some of the top safeties in the draft. You got, of course, Xavier McKinney from Bama, Grant Delpit from the national champion LSU Tigers, as well as Antoine Winfield from the U. I mean, a lot of those guys' ceilings is about 25 in when the Vikings select in the first round, but also a lot more projections have them in between the Vikings' 2 draft picks, which is kind of annoying. So they're either overdrafting a safety at 25, or they're just not going to get one of the top tier guys when they pick again at 58 or 59, wherever they pick in the second round. So it's an interesting spot, but again, barring some sort of 11th hour Anthony Barr heel turn, I don't see Anthony Harris back, and that sucks. But I guess you do have to trust the process, whether it be drafting another safety high, or perhaps picking up a body in the late rounds, or even UDFA, and then eventually a year or two down the line, if Mike Zimmer is still here, he turns that safety into something magical. But also, let's remember, Harrison Smith is on the wrong side of 30. He ain't getting any younger, too. So, I mean, it's a tough spot, but it is what it is. Are your thoughts? Vikings preparing for life after Anthony Harris? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, pull us on the Venmo. Please give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skol, production value.